Like our content? Support us on Patreon, link below. Thank you to our patrons and guests at the Luxury Suites and the Honey Suite. We really appreciate you. Welcome to the Twisted Tentacle Inn. I'm your innkeeper, Vase Odin, and today we will be talking about Venturer. Forbidden! Venturer from the Forgotten Age Deluxe Expansion is a 4-cost Guardian ally asset with 1 intellect pip, 2 health and 2 sanity, and it reads, uses 3 supplies. Fast action, spend 1 supply and exhaust Venturer, place 1 supply or ammo on an asset controlled by an investigator at your location. I believe that Venturer is a very misunderstood and underutilized card. Instead of packing 3 different allies or assets, one that gets you a bonus to combat, one that gives you a bonus to investigate, and one that heals or prevents damage, Venturer can actually help in all 3 roles and can help free up your deck space. In other words, this card can be useful for damage, clue gathering, and healing, and it's very deceptively good at all of them. Venturer's versatility makes it very valuable for solo play, as you can get more uses out of assets that are in play, saving you an action you normally would have used in order to play a replacement, and keeping you from drawing cards unnecessarily if you haven't found a replacement weapon or flashlight. I've heard from some people that Venturer is just too expensive at 4 resources, and that's why they don't play him. And that's a fair assessment, especially for a faction that isn't known for its excessive resources. But I think that between its versatility and action-saving possibilities, 4 resources are a fair cost. In most solo games, you don't go through 2 full clips of the 45 automatic from the core set, or 2 full charges of a flashlight from the core set. So let's say you've used all 4 ammo off your 45 and all of your flashlight charges. Instead of spending 2 actions or more if you're drawing cards to search for replacements to play a new 45 and a new flashlight, if you had Venturer in play, you could refill 2 ammo of your 45, and this final resource could be used to refill your flashlight with 1 charge. It might let you finish the game successfully, and in an example like this, the 4 resources that you used to play the Venturer were actually a bargain. But before people start pulling out their strawman cards to accuse me of using a strawman argument with them, let me just go ahead and dive deep into the uses for Venturer, the different cards that Venturer can interact with, and maybe you'll change your mind about this card and its usefulness. Who can best use Venturer? Well, all Guardians, I think, can make good use of him. Diana, William, Ashcan, Skids, Jenny, Rex, and Lola. There are others that can put Venturer into their decks, but I don't think that their card pool really supports the use of this card as much as the ones that I mentioned, which are going to have access to a bunch of assets that either use ammo or use supplies, which can greatly benefit from Venturer's ability. One card that can combo really well with Venturer is Calling in Favors from the Unspeakable Oath Mythos pack. If you're playing 2 copies of Venturer, you can potentially use all of the supplies on one, play Calling in Favors to find the other copy and play it for free, use those 3 supplies, and still have another Venturer in your hand ready to supply you with more goodies. That's actually pretty good. I understand that's janky, so we'll continue on with some of the more easily achievable interactions and combinations. So let's break down other potential interactions. We'll start with combat cards, then we'll go into investigation cards, healing cards, and then utility cards. Of course, the most obvious interaction is to add more ammo to a almost empty clip. A cool thing that Guardians can do is to combine it with custom ammunition from the Heart of the Elders Mythos pack, which will get you extra bullets, and these bullets will deal extra damage to monster creatures. So you can maximize the use of custom ammunition and extend the amount of ammunition that can do the extra damage. Another good interaction is the Mark 1 grenades from the Clutches of Chaos Mythos pack. It's great because Mark 1 grenades do damage to more than one creature every time that you use them. So getting more uses out of this can turn you into a very, very reliable horde killer. Or the Ornate Bow from Heart of the Elders, which requires an action to reload, and you can only have one ammo on it at a time. That means that you can only shoot once, and then you have to use an action to reload, potentially taking an attack of opportunity. With Venturer, you can reload your bow without using an action, so you'll avoid taking the attack of opportunity, and you can get 2 attacks with the bow before having to use an action to reload it. Venturer can also help with clue gathering cards. Take Flashlight from the core set. It uses 3 supplies, and with Venturer you can essentially double the charges. Low intellect investigators will be able to investigate far more reliably having Venturer and the Flashlight out. But if your investigator can use the fingerprint kit from the Circle Undone Deluxe expansion, you can really ramp up the clue acquisition. This card is best in multiplayer, and its meager 3 charges can be limiting. With Venturer, you can eke out up to 12 clues with the fingerprint kit, which is awesome, and you can easily make short work of most locations. But even better is using Venturer with the lockpicks from the Path to Carcosa Deluxe expansion. Lockpicks can theoretically be used an unlimited number of times if you consistently succeed by 2 or more. But if your investigator can't pull that off regularly, you can at least use Venturer to keep your lockpicks going strong without fear of losing them. Venturer is also great for getting more out of your healing cards. For example, First Aid from the core set. I know you are all laughing and yelling at your screen right now. So you can also use it on Liquid Courage from the Dunwich Legacy Deluxe expansion, or Smoking Pipe and Painkillers from the Miskatonic Museum Mythos pack. Having an extra heal or 2 could be the difference between life and death. So having Venturer be able to eke out an extra point of healing here and there is definitely very useful. But it's even better if you use it on a card like Thermos from the Depths of Yoth Mythos pack, First Aid level 3 from the Pallid Mask Mythos pack, or Kerosene from the Shattered Aeons Mythos pack, where each supply equals 2 heals, so you really can get maximized benefits out of using Venturer on one of those cards. Now, some utility cards use supplies, and having Venturer in play is a great way to maximize something like the Tennessee Sour Mash from the Secret Name Mythos pack, or the Tennessee Sour Mash level 3 Rogue and Tennessee Sour Mash level 3 Survivor from For the Greater Good Mythos pack. Basically, through the span of a scenario, you can actually eke out a +2 or +3 on willpower against most treacheries that you're going to encounter throughout the entire scenario. Basically eking out 5 or 6 total treacheries at a +2 or +3 willpower. That's pretty impressive, to be honest. Venturer makes these cards amazing for the 2 factions that generally have very low willpower investigators. And these cards were generally seen as fairly weak, but with Venturer in play, they're very, very usable. And I understand what some of you are thinking. You know, if you need 2 cards to make a card decent, then it's probably a bad card. But your Venturer is versatile enough where it can help you benefit from those, or if you have a weapon low on ammo, you can use it for that, or if you need a heal, you can use it for that. So having him in play is definitely going to help you maximize the versatility of that card and still make good use of the Tennessee Sour Mash. Now, for Seekers, one of the most stable cards is Strange Solution. The base card from the Dunwich Legacy Deluxe expansion doesn't use supplies, but the upgrades from the Where Doom Awaits and Return to Dunwich Legacy do use supplies. What this means is that Venturer can make your Seeker even more of a powerhouse by extending the use of all of those cards. And finally, a very janky interaction is with the card Investments from Union and Disillusion Mythos pack. Not the most efficient use of Venturer, unless you happen to have Calling in Favors and can get another Venturer in at no cost. This way, you can get investments at 10 resources in about 5 rounds. Of course, this will cost you a net of 6 resources to pull off, so it may not be the best way to spend your actions. Now, if you have 2 copies of Venture in play, serving other purposes like refilling ammo and flashlights, and then you bring out investments and use them once or twice to accelerate the investments, it may be a pretty cool maneuver. Again, not a combo that's easy to pull off, nor very cost efficient, but if you happen to need a very large amount of resources for a specific purpose in one round, it may be worthwhile to try and get this pulled off. And, maybe you can come up with something really crazy by doing that. All right, and that does it for today's video on Venture. I hope that you found the video helpful. Hopefully this changed your mind a little bit about Venture as to whether he is a bad card or a decent card. I happen to think he's a pretty good card and very versatile, and I do use it in quite a few decks. So I do get quite a lot of use out of him, out of that card, and I think that you might too. If you have any questions, feel free to post them
down there
in the comments below. You can also reach me on Twitter at WickedVase or by email, and the email address is wickedvase@gmail.com. As always, I'm your innkeeper, Vase Odin, from the Twisted Tentacle Inn. Check in anytime. I'll talk to you then.